by Dr. Lauren Mitchell, health educator. Are your legs feeling weaker, shakier, or more tired than they used to? Do you find it harder to climb stairs, stand for long periods, or even go on walks you once enjoyed? Here's the shocking truth. Leg weakness is not just a normal part of aging. It's a warning sign that your body may be struggling, whether it's losing muscle mass, circulation, nerve function, spinal support, or vital minerals. Left unchecked, these changes can lead to dangerous falls, loss of independence, or even serious health complications. But here's the good news. Once you understand the underlying causes, there are simple, powerful ways to rebuild strength, restore vitality, and walk with confidence again. Let's break down the 5 hidden causes of leg weakness after 60 and how to fight back before it's too late. Reason 5. Muscle loss, sarcopenia. Mary had always thought of herself as a strong woman. In her 30s and 40s, she was constantly on the move, running errands, lifting groceries, chasing after her kids, going on hikes with friends. Her body never held her back. Even into her 50s, she felt capable, agile, and energetic. But as she stepped into her 60s, something started to shift, subtle at first, almost easy to ignore. She noticed that getting up from the couch took a little more effort. The stairs she used to climb without thinking now left her catching her breath. Her morning walks, once a source of joy, began to feel heavy. Not her mood, her legs. They just didn't have the same spring they used to. And then one day, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror and noticed how much slimmer her thighs looked. Not toned, just smaller, weaker. It wasn't until a routine doctor's appointment that she learned the word sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. It begins in our 30s, the doctor explained, gradually chipping away at muscle mass. But after 60, if you don't actively work to maintain it, that loss speeds up. By your 80s, you could lose up to 30% of your muscle. 30%. No wonder she was feeling it in her legs. Mary realized she'd been blaming age, thinking this was just how things were supposed to go. But now, she saw things differently. This wasn't just getting older. This was a call to action. So she decided to fight back. She didn't rush into an intense workout plan or join a gym. Instead, she started small. She began doing gentle chair squats in the morning before breakfast. At first, just a few, then a few more. She added standing leg lifts while brushing her teeth, and eventually picked up a pair of light resistance bands to keep by her couch. Every little movement felt like a step toward reclaiming her strength. She also took a closer look at her diet. Muscle, she learned, needs fuel, protein, especially as we age. So she made some changes. Eggs in the morning, a piece of grilled salmon or a cup of beans with lunch. Lean chicken, tofu, and yogurt found their way into her daily routine. It wasn't about counting calories. It was about feeding her body what it needed to stay strong. And, perhaps most importantly, she committed to moving every single day, even when she didn't feel like it, even when her legs felt tired. A 10-minute walk became non-negotiable. On rainy days, she'd march in place by the kitchen counter or take laps around the living room. She reminded herself, if I don't use it, I'll lose it. It became her mantra. Over time, something amazing happened. She started feeling stronger. Rising from a chair didn't require effort anymore. Her walks got longer. Her legs no longer felt like sandbags, but like tools that could carry her wherever she wanted to go. Mary didn't become a bodybuilder. She didn't need to. What she gained was far more valuable. Confidence, independence, and the ability to keep doing the things she loved. Sarcopenia may be a silent thief, but Mary chose not to be a silent victim. She listened to her body, took back control, and wrote a new chapter, one of resilience, strength, and movement. And now, she tells her story not just as a warning, but as a reminder, it's never too late to start. Even 10 minutes a day can change everything. Reason 4. Poor circulation, peripheral artery disease, PAD. Jack used to enjoy his evening walks. After dinner, just as the sun began to dip behind the trees and the neighborhood quieted down, he'd lace up his sneakers and head out. It wasn't about exercise or burning calories. It was his time to clear his mind, breathe in the cool air, and enjoy the rhythm of his steps on the pavement. But lately, something felt off. He first noticed it on a Tuesday. Halfway through his usual loop, a deep cramp gripped his right calf, as though someone had twisted the muscle like a dish towel. He paused, leaned on a fence, waited. After a few minutes, it eased. Strange, he thought. Maybe dehydration? The next night, it happened again. And again. Sometimes both legs. The pain wasn't unbearable, but it was stubborn, tight, nagging, and only seemed to vanish when he stopped walking. Jack brushed it off at first. Probably just getting older, he told himself. But deep down, he knew his body was trying to say something. And it wasn't just the cramps. He started to feel a coldness in his feet that didn't match the spring weather. At night, his toes tingled. His legs felt heavy like sandbags. One day, he nicked his ankle on the edge of a chair. Weeks passed, and the small wound still hadn't healed. That's when he finally called his doctor. After some tests and a vascular screening, the answer came: peripheral artery disease, PAD, a condition where plaque builds up in the arteries, narrowing them and restricting blood flow to the limbs, especially the legs. His doctor explained that it wasn't just about discomfort. PAD was a warning sign, a red flag waving in silence. If left untreated, it could lead to heart attacks, strokes, or even limb loss. The pain Jack had felt while walking, that was his muscles crying out for oxygen. The cold, numb sensations, a symptom of reduced circulation. The slow healing wound, a direct result of tissues not getting the blood they need to recover. But here's the good news. PAD isn't the end of the road. It's a wake-up call. Jack's doctor laid out a new plan. Walk every day, even if it meant shorter distances indoors. Regular, gentle movement would help train his arteries and stimulate blood flow. Stay hydrated and cut back on salty snacks. Less sodium meant less swelling and easier circulation. Elevate his legs during the evening, maybe with a warm foot soak or a gentle massage to keep things flowing. And most importantly, monitor the symptoms. If they worsened, he wouldn't wait again. A few months later, Jack's walks returned. Slower, yes, but steadier. He learned to listen to his legs, to recognize the early signs, and to never underestimate what a small cramp might mean. His story, like many others, is a reminder: your body whispers before it shouts. So if your legs feel unusually cold, heavy, or painful, especially when walking, don't brush it off. PAD might be the story behind the symptoms. Reason 3. Nerve damage, peripheral neuropathy. Margaret had always loved her morning walks. They gave her a sense of peace, a moment to clear her thoughts as the sun rose and the world slowly came to life. But lately, something didn't feel right. At first, it was just a mild tingling in her toes, almost like they had fallen asleep. Harmless, she thought. Just poor circulation. But over time, the sensation grew stranger. Her feet began to feel numb, almost like they were wrapped in thick socks she wasn't wearing. Sometimes they buzzed, like there was electricity running through them. Other times they burned or stabbed with a sharp, pin-like pain. She started losing her balance. Walking felt like stepping on sponges or pillows, not solid ground. And that's when she began to worry. At first, she didn't have a name for what was happening. All she knew was that something felt wrong. Then one day, after nearly tripping over the edge of a rug, she finally went to see her doctor. The diagnosis: peripheral neuropathy, a type of nerve damage that affects nearly 1 in 3 adults over the age of 65. Her doctor explained that the nerves in her legs and feet were no longer working properly. They weren't sending the right signals to her brain, and, as a result, her muscles weren't reacting the way they should. That's why her legs felt strange, why she was off balance and nearly falling. He told her that this kind of nerve damage is often linked to things like diabetes, a deficiency in vitamin B12, or even long-term alcohol use. It could happen gradually, silently, without her even realizing it. Looking back, Margaret realized she'd had subtle symptoms for years, little signs she had ignored. The numbness, the tingling, the occasional burning. She just thought it was part of getting older. But it wasn't. Now that she knew the truth, Margaret was determined to do something about it. She made changes, starting with her diet. She added more B12-rich foods like eggs, dairy, and leafy greens to her meals. She cut back on alcohol, swapping her evening glass of wine for herbal tea. Every night, she would gently massage her feet and legs, trying to reconnect with the parts of her body that had started to feel distant. Her doctor also recommended a B12 supplement. After testing revealed her levels were low. It wasn't an overnight fix, but little by little, things began to change. The tingling became less intense. The numbness eased. She felt steadier, more in control. And for the first time in months, she walked through her garden without fear of falling. Margaret's story is more common than most people think. Peripheral neuropathy often creeps in quietly, mistaken for aging or fatigue. But it's not something you have to live with in silence. If your feet are burning, buzzing, or going numb, if it feels like you're walking on clouds instead of solid ground, it might be your body trying to tell you something. And like Margaret, once you listen, there's a lot you can do to protect your nerves, restore balance, and take back your confidence, one step at a time. Reason 2, spinal issues, sciatica, herniated discs, posture problems. It started off subtly. Every morning, Jack would feel a strange tightness in his lower back as he got out of bed. He brushed it off, probably just slept wrong. But over time, that stiffness turned into something else. Some mornings, as he stood up to get his coffee, he'd feel a sharp jolt of pain radiate from his back down through his left leg. Other times, it wasn't pain, but a strange numbness, like his leg had fallen asleep. Only it hadn't. He was baffled. His legs were strong. He was still active, hitting the gym a few times a week. But something wasn't right. He couldn't balance as easily. Climbing stairs became awkward. It felt like one leg wasn't keeping up with the other. That's when Jack learned the truth. The source of his leg weakness wasn't in his legs at all. It was in his spine. Most people never make the connection. After all, if your legs feel weak or uncoordinated, wouldn't the problem be in your legs? But the body doesn't work in isolation. It works in systems. And one of the most critical systems for movement is the nervous system. The nerves that control strength, sensation, and coordination in your legs actually originate in your lower spine. If you have a condition like sciatica, herniated discs, or even poor posture, those spinal nerves can become compressed or pinched. And when that communication is disrupted, the result is often pain, tingling, or, you guessed it, leg weakness. If your spine is involved, your body usually tries to tell you, though not always loudly at first. Some of the red flags include sharp or radiating pain that starts in the lower back and travels down one leg. Classic sciatica, tingling or numbness, usually isolated to one leg, making it feel foreign or off. Imbalance or uneven strength like one leg is subtly lagging behind. Difficulty standing after sitting, or needing to constantly shift positions. These are signs that your spinal nerves may be under pressure, and when nerves are compromised, muscles can't perform at full capacity. The good news? You're not powerless. Jack wasn't either. With a few daily habits, he began to reclaim his balance, strength, and comfort. Here's how you can do the same. Break up long sitting sessions. Every 30 minutes, stand up, walk around, stretch. Sitting is the new smoking, especially for your spine. Use lumbar support, whether you're driving, working, or relaxing on the couch. A simple cushion that supports the natural curve of your spine can make a huge difference. Stretch daily. Gentle, targeted stretches, like the seated spinal twist or the knee to chest, can reduce compression and improve flexibility. Mind your posture. Slouching doesn't just look bad. It strains your back and throws off your balance. Align your ears over your shoulders, shoulders over your hips. A strong posture is a strong foundation. Your legs may carry you, but your spine controls the power. Ignoring back issues can quietly erode your mobility and independence. Jack learned that the hard way, but he also discovered that healing and strength are always within reach, one stretch, one stand, and one mindful moment at a time. So if you've noticed your legs aren't what they used to be, don't forget to look up the chain to your spine. The answer may be there, waiting to be heard. Reason 1, electrolyte imbalance, magnesium and potassium deficiency. It was a typical night and I was finally ready to crawl into bed after a long day. The room was quiet. The only sound the soft hum of the air conditioning. As I shifted to get comfortable, something unexpected happened. A sharp, painful cramp shot up my leg, freezing me in place. It felt like my muscle was being twisted from the inside, and no matter how much I tried to stretch it out, the pain lingered. I'd experienced these cramps before, those sudden, jolting spasms that seemed to come out of nowhere, usually in the middle of the night. It wasn't just a nuisance, it was a warning. The aching in my leg wasn't just random. There was something deeper going on inside my body. And it hit me. These cramps were a symptom of an electrolyte imbalance. You see, our bodies are finely tuned machines that rely on a delicate balance of minerals or electrolytes to keep things running smoothly. Two of the most important minerals for our muscles and nerves are potassium and magnesium. These are the unsung heroes that help our muscles contract and relax properly, and they play a huge role in nerve communication. But when we're low on either of them, it's like a kink in the system, and that's when things start to go wrong. For me, the cramps weren't just a fluke. They were a sign that I wasn't getting enough of these essential minerals in my diet. And I wasn't alone. Electrolyte imbalances are surprisingly common, especially for those of us who don't get enough potassium and magnesium or who are on diuretics. Diuretics, which are often prescribed to treat high blood pressure or swelling, can actually flush these vital minerals out of the body faster than we can replace them. Couple that with dehydration, something I've been guilty of, especially on busy days, and it was no wonder my muscles were protesting. As I sat there rubbing my leg, trying to calm the cramp, I realized that there were other signs I had missed. I've been feeling more fatigued than usual, and my muscles seemed weaker, even when I hadn't been exerting myself too much. Sometimes my heart would flutter a little, skipping a beat here and there. These were all symptoms of an electrolyte imbalance. In more severe cases, low potassium and magnesium can even cause irregular heartbeats, dizziness, and fainting. It was clear. My body was trying to tell me something. But the solution wasn't as complicated as I thought. The key to fixing an electrolyte imbalance is actually pretty simple. Eat the right foods. Drink plenty of water and get back in balance. I started by looking at my diet, realizing I needed to eat more potassium-rich foods. Bananas, oranges, spinach, and sweet potatoes were all great sources of potassium, so I made sure to incorporate them into my meals. I also started snacking on almonds, adding more dark chocolate to my diet, and switching to whole grains and beans, all of which are packed with magnesium. I knew hydration was key, so I made a conscious effort to drink more water throughout the day. Staying hydrated helps balance out those electrolytes, and it also keeps my muscles from seizing up. But I didn't stop there. That night, I decided to try a warm Epsom salt bath before bed. The magnesium in the Epsom salts can actually be absorbed through the skin, which helped relax my muscles and soothe the tension from the cramp. The warm water felt soothing on my muscles, and the pain gradually faded away. Within a few days of making these changes, I started feeling better. The cramps were less frequent, and the muscle twitching that had become so annoying seemed to disappear. I felt more energetic, and my muscles were less fatigued. I had finally addressed the root cause of those midnight cramps, and it felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, or at least off my legs. Electrolyte imbalances are more common than we realize, and they don't just affect athletes or people with medical conditions. If you've ever dealt with those sudden leg cramps or felt a strange twitching in your muscles, it could be that you're missing key nutrients like potassium and magnesium. But the good news is that with a few simple dietary changes, increased hydration, and some self-care practices like an Epsom salt bath, you can restore your balance and leave those cramps behind. I'm grateful I took the time to listen to my body, to pay attention to those signals it was sending me. Now, whenever I feel that familiar twinge in my leg, I know exactly what to do. With just a few small changes, I was able to regain control over my body, and it's a reminder that sometimes the solution is simpler than we think. Weak legs aren't just annoying, they're your body's way of saying, help me. Whether it's due to muscle loss, poor blood flow, nerve damage, back problems, or mineral deficiencies, the path back to strength starts with small, consistent steps. Start today. Do gentle strength exercises. Eat protein and mineral-rich foods. Walk daily, even if it's around your home. Stay hydrated. Support your posture and spinal health. See a doctor if symptoms persist or worsen. If you found this guide helpful, like, subscribe, and share it with a loved one who could benefit. And tell us in the comments, which of these reasons surprised you the most?